She had been clear from the beginning. Children were not part of her plan, not in Texas, not in this world, not ever. It wasn't a phase or a decision to be negotiated later. It was a fundamental truth about herself that she had shared openly with her husband before they married. At 28, Mia had built a comfortable life as a software developer. She worked from home in the house she had inherited from her grandparents, a place of peace and independence. Her 29-year-old husband had seemed to share her vision for their future. Just the two of them, building careers and a life unburdened by parenthood. Then came the moment that shattered everything. 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test, despite her IUD. The room had spun around her as panic set in. This couldn't be happening, not in Texas, where abortion restrictions had tightened like a noose around women's reproductive freedom. "I want to travel out of state," she had told her husband, voice trembling, "and I want you to get a vasectomy so this never happens again." His response had stunned her into silence. He wouldn't take her across state lines for the procedure. He spoke of criminal charges in a way that frightened her deeply. And a vasectomy? Out of the question. "I'm not going to mutilate myself," he had said firmly, as if his bodily autonomy were sacred while hers was negotiable. In that moment, something fundamental had broken between them. Trust, partnership, the illusion that they were truly a team. The pregnancy progressed like a slow-motion nightmare. She had even looked into adoption, but he refused that option too. With each passing month, her resentment grew alongside the child within her. By the time she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, her marriage was already dead. 1 month after her son's birth, she filed for divorce. Now, 4 months into a motherhood she had never wanted, her maternity leave was ending. Her ex-husband had moved into his own apartment and had settled into a comfortable pattern of occasional weekend visits, never overnight, despite her suggestions. The baby, with his wide, innocent eyes, was a constant reminder of her stolen choices. The truth was painful to admit. She didn't enjoy being a mother. The magical bond that everyone spoke about hadn't materialized. She loved her son, of course, but the constant demands of caregiving left her hollow and overwhelmed. Even more frustrating was trying to balance her work with childcare. As a software developer, she needed focused, time-something in short supply with an infant demanding attention. When she called her ex to discuss establishing a formal 50-50 custody arrangement, his dismissive response had been the final straw. "I'll let you know when I find a weekend that works for me," he said casually, as if her time and needs were inconsequential. The unfairness of it all burned like acid. She had carried and delivered this child because of him. She had sacrificed her body, her plans, her peace of mind, while he got to dip in and out of fatherhood at his convenience. The decision came suddenly. On a Wednesday morning, she packed a diaper bag, strapped her son into his car seat, and drove to the car dealership, where her ex-husband worked. The expression on his face when she appeared on the sales floor with their baby was something she would remember forever. Shock giving way to confusion and then alarm. "We're doing 50-50 custody," she announced, placing the baby carrier in his hands. "You have him this week. Drop him off at my house next Monday." Her ex-husband's panic was immediate. "Who will watch him while I work?" he demanded. "Pay for daycare if you need it," she replied coolly, the same way he had been cool about forcing her into motherhood. "I can't afford daycare," he protested. Their argument drew attention from across the showroom floor, but she stood her ground. "Figure it out," she told him firmly. "If I have to figure out how to be a mom, you have to figure out how to be a dad." As she walked away, her phone began buzzing with angry calls from his parents. The same people who refused to offer childcare assistance to their own son. The names they called her would have hurt if she hadn't already grown numb to others' judgments of her choices. She drove home to an empty house, silent for the first time in months. The guilt crept in around the edges, but she pushed it away. This wasn't about abandoning her child. It was about demanding equality in a situation neither of them had initially wanted, but only she had been forced to accommodate. Her lawyer hadn't returned her calls about formalizing custody, but she had taken matters into her own hands. Perhaps it wasn't the ideal approach, but after months of having her choices stripped away, she had reclaimed some small measure of control. As she sat in the stillness of her grandparents' home, she wondered if she had gone too far. But then she thought about the fundamental unfairness of it all, how her body, her career, her very life had been commandeered while he remained essentially untouched by the consequences of their failed birth control. Sometimes, she reflected, the messiest actions were born from the messiest situations. And nothing was messier than being forced into a role you never wanted to play. What would you have done in her position? Was she wrong to force her ex to take equal responsibility for their child? Or should she have found another way to establish boundaries and shared parenting? Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below.